This episode of Linux Action Show is brought to you by GoDaddy.com.
And by Ting.com. Head over to last.ting.com and save $25 off your first device.
Welcome to the Linux Action Show, Season 29, Episode 10. My name is Chris.
My name is Matt.
Good morning to you, Matt.
Good morning.
Should I tell folks about the big show today?
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, coming up on this week's episode of the Linux Action Show, we've got two System76 laptops in-house. Right here in front of me is the Galago UltraPro, and then Matt over there has the Kudu Professional. This is the probably one of the premier Linux Ultrabooks on the market right now. It's thinner than the MacBook Air, I believe.
It's competitive.
Yeah,
it's competitive.
Definitely. It's very competitive. We'll be talking about that later. Then over there, you've got the Kudu Professional, which sort of bills itself as like the Bonobo Extreme for the business type. So we'll kick the tires on both of these. Plus, in the news segment, somebody big just joined the Linux Foundation. We'll tell you about that. And one of the Linux chiefs from the Linux Foundation sat down and shared his thoughts on what he thought was going to be the big market for Linux in 2014, and it is not what you are thinking. Plus, we got the Linux Journal's Reader Choice 2013 that just came in. We'll go through some of that. And Microsoft.
I know, right? Who would have thought?
Microsoft making some big source code changes to compete with open source, and we'll tell you about that as well. And then in the feedback segment, we're going to help some guys get their ladies running Linux. No, that's a service that I'm happy to provide.
Damn right.
Both you and I have spent a lot of time working with our ladies, getting them.
Yes, we have.
Mixed results.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
We'll touch on that later.
So why don't we start with our picks this week? And this week, I've got something that harkens back to my sysadmin days, Matt. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
This definitely tickles the former sysadmin in me. And it is, are you familiar with Backblaze? They do backups.
I know.
All right. Well, so Backblaze is kind of famous for doing online backups, but they're not like as big as Carbonite or CrashPlan or something like that, but they do something that's pretty interesting. So Backblaze is 180 terabytes of good vibrations. Their storage pod 3.0, Matt, runs Linux.
Ooh,
so
like the fans here.
They need a lot of storage because they run an online backup system. And there was no product out on the market that was an online storage that they liked. So they built their own, and then they quote-unquote open-sourced the design.
Oh, it's like open source hardware. I see.
Yeah, exactly. And so some iterations run Debian, some iterations run Arch, and this is the storage pod 3.0 right here. There's a great video that I'll have linked in the show notes if you kind of want to go through some of this. As configured, they have this at 180 terabytes. That's 4 terabyte drives. Whoa. Yep, there are 45 of them at 4 terabytes, 3.5-inch drive. They have anti-vibration drive assemblies in there, so they have 3 assemblies. And you kind of see, that's him putting the anti-vibration assembly in right there. Yeah. They have a second-generation Intel Core i3 in there. Memory is kind of whatever you want.
Sure.
And this isn't going to be like your highest performance, but here's what you get. 180 terabytes with just the base rig by itself. It's $1,900 for the chassis and all the connectors. But when all is said and done, for the storage pod, you can go $1,900. That's $37 less than their previous version, about a 2% decrease in the overall cost of the unit to load this sucker up. And then you've got a Linux-powered 180 terabyte storage. They're currently using 450 storage pods at Backblaze. They have nearly 50 petabytes of storage in use.
Oh, my God.
All running on Linux.
Wow.
Pretty
That's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
They actually look really good, too.
Doesn't it? I want one of those here in the Jupiter Broadcasting Studios, man. Look at that thing.
You know, we review one of those bad boys.
Yeah, guys, come on. Send it into us, right? Come on, send it into us. Jeez Louise. Well, big show. Now, we don't have any storage pods in-house, but we do have quite a bit of Linux picks to get to, and also we're going to show you some of the tools we use to benchmark rigs that we get in for review. So we have that coming up. And I've got an app that I was going to show you last week. Didn't get a chance to show you because I was running on Mint. And the pick I have doesn't run on Mint.
It does not.
But it works great on Arch and a lot of other distros. So we'll talk about that. But first, I want to thank our sponsor this week, and that is GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy's got a lot of great services. They're the world's #1 domain name registrar. But what I want to laser focus in on for a second is the fact that if you don't take advantage of our great deal, Jean-Claude Van Damme is on his Splits Across America tour right now. Splits Across America, where he will splits in your face if you don't take advantage of our code, because it is such a good offer. So here's what I want you to do. Go over to GoDaddy.com. You know about GoDaddy, right? They are, of course, the sponsor of the Linux Action Show, and they have a new website builder that makes it easy to create your own website, put your business online, and find new customers. Choose from hundreds of customizable designs, and you are on your way. Website builder even includes a free domain, hosting, and 24/7 support. It is go time, my friends. And Van Dam knows that. You know that. We all know that. So go over to GoDaddy.com and use our promo code WSB6, Website Builder 6, WSB6 when you check out. You get Website Builder for only $1 per month for 12 months. Some limitations do apply, so go over and check their website. And if you don't, Van Dam will come splits on your face. Boom. He's in the data centers right now. He's got like a list, and he's checking it twice.
And to see who's been
naughty or nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you've been naughty, he comes and Van Dam's on your face.
That's right.
There's
the board game plan.
So here's the thing. Before we wrap on this, I just want to mention something. It's 2013. If you don't have a website for your project, for your name, for your business, even if it is just a website that is your name, that it's some sort of branding that you have, something for you that is just links to all of your social profiles, your LinkedIn profile, whatever. Go own that namespace on the web now. Do it for friends, do it for family. If you have family members that have a business and they don't have an online presence, this Website Builder is going to solve that problem for them. It'll spin off mobile versions. It'll do SEO optimization. It's $1 per month for a year to get integrated hosting and website management. It's a really cool deal, and it's brand new. So go over to GoDaddy.com and use our promo code WSB6 when you check out. And thank you to GoDaddy for sponsoring the Linux Action Show.
Good stuff. Thank you, guys.
Let's start with a really cool app pick. It's called KC System D, KCM System D. And it is a System D control module for KDE. It provides a graphical front end to the System D daemon, which allows for viewing and controlling of System D units as well as modifying configuration files. And here's a screenshot of it right here, Matt. The screenshots be damned. Let's go try it out ourselves. So if I fire it up here, it integrates right in with the KDE system settings.
Oh, pretty. I
and
like
then down
that.
here under System Administration, I just have a System D entry now. And, oh, what? Oh,
Oh, the daemon.
it brokeage. Well, it's funny because I just updated it recently. But it works, and it's really nice. It's kind of like Yast for everybody.
Let's go back to those screenshots and see what they look like.
So here's an example of where you have here's the running System D services, and you can start and stop them, see which ones start at boot up, see what state they're in, if they've died, if they're active, all that kind of stuff.
That's interesting. So it looks like if it's mounted, active, or plugged, it will actually show up green. And if it's dead, it's dead as doornail, it's going to show up red. I like that.
You can go in here and you configure things like the logging, parameters, because one of the things that's new in System D is Journal D, is part where that's where your logs go, and they're stored in a binary file. So it's nice to get a front end to sort of manipulate some of those settings, set what you want the disk space usage to be, go in there and tell it what type of storage mode you want, where it should be forwarding the logs to, if anywhere, all that kind of stuff. Really kind of one of these things that's interesting about it is this is a good example of something that distributions in the past have spun up their own solutions for. I mean, we remember like Mandrake had the DRAC controls, DRAC config. SUSE obviously has Yast. Ubuntu has some of their tools built into the system settings. This is one now that is being created that sits on top of System D and works for any distribution that has System D. So now we have one graphical interface utility to manage this stuff that is distribution agnostic. And you start to see the advantages there when I could be using Fedora, I could be using Arch, I could be using OpenSUSE, and I would have the same front end to configure core system settings across all of those distributions.
I could see OpenSUSE actually integrating this themselves. I could actually see them saying, this is kind of cool. Let's go ahead and drop that up in Yast and see how that works.
So it's under active development. It was just updated on the 8th, which is today.
That's actually quite rapid.
Yeah. I wonder if I do a little, I wonder if I just do, because I'd sure like to show you, because it sure is nice. I'll just do a little pack or sync here and see if I have a new version of it that fixes it.
See what's going on.
You never know with Arch.
You never know.
Sometimes you get nothing. You get Bubkiss. No, it looks like I got Bubkiss. I got Bubkiss, Matt. Well, anyway.
No, that's okay.
It's pretty cool. It's KCM System D, and we'll have a link to it in the show notes. Probably in your repo. It's under active development right now. The developer's been pretty responsive, it looks like, too, to feedback that people have sent in. I think it's really neat. And I think it's a great example of where we're kind of going in the Linux desktop future. It's not necessarily the most user-friendly, but the fact that
it is a GUI. It is a GUI.
And it's universal in a sense, too.
And I would argue that I think for someone that is an intermediate user or an advanced user, it's very user-friendly. I think if you're a beginner, you're probably not going to know to look for it in the first place.
Yeah, probably should stay out of there anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of like Windows in the registry. You don't know what you're doing. Just stay out of it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yep. All right, so now moving on, let's talk about some tools to benchmark these laptops we got here. So not only do Matt and I have 2 laptops in-house, but then later, see, this is what's great. This is the final episode of Season 29, and we're going to end on a cliffhanger. We're ending it on a cliffhanger. We've got the Leopard Extreme. They're big, Professional workstation.
The new one, not the one you guys saw last time.
Brand
This
new
is
one.
the refreshed everything.
Yep, water cooled, and it's right over there. And so I plan to punish that thing for just an unbelievable amount of contiguous time. Like, I just want to do everything I can to make that machine cry, because I could not break the last one.
We tried.
I could not. So this time around, I'm even more determined. And there's a couple of utilities I'm going to use amongst my own custom encoding scripts that I have for studio production and all of this kind of stuff. One of the things I want to throw at it is some actual straight-up benchmarks. Now, benchmarks are a tricky thing, because some benchmarks can generate false results and give you a false indication of how a machine performs. Here in the studio, we use benchmarks to establish baselines amongst all the machines. Right. So we benchmark all to see where they perform within relation to each other. The other thing that benchmarks are really good for is stress testing. So I've got one in particular that's only about the stress testing. And I'm talking like, how do they run with continuous usage, with a lot of heat being generated? Do thermal thresholds get met, and they have to start clocking things down? That can happen on the GPU and the CPU. All of these things you can help test by getting some really good benchmarks in there. So I'm going to give you 3 benchmarks that we'll be using during our testing, and you can load them up on your own rig at home, see how your machine does, and then try it on your different computers and see how they compare amongst each other.
Make for a fascinating comparison for sure.
So the Uni engine, I can't remember how they pronounce it. It's kind of funky.
Unigen, probably, yeah.
They have a couple of benchmarks that are available for Linux, and they have one that's called Heaven and one that's called Valley. And we're going to talk about the Valley one today. And it is gorgeous. It's extreme hardware stability testing, as they call it, per-frame CPU temperature and clock monitoring with advanced visuals like dynamic skies, volumetric clouds, sun spots, ambient collisions, whatever those are. Runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac. 64 million frames, square meters of extremely detailed and seamless terrain. This is one of the really cool things they do, is in both the benchmarks I tried, they build a whole 3D world, and then they take you around in that. And you can free cam it, or you can fly around. It'll also generate, at the end of the session, a report. Now, the free version just does a real basic HTML report, but the paid version gives you like a CVS file and all that kind of stuff.
Can't beat that.
Right. Excuse me, I'm still a little sick. So, now, you're going to have to bear with me. A couple of things. It's not a super fast demo, because it's meant to kind of run for a little bit.
Right.
And the other thing about it is I'm mirroring. So I'll have about a half of I'm going to take about a 50% performance penalty to show you guys this, but it's so gorgeous. So when it starts up, I'm doing the Valley benchmark. This is a little bit of a newer of the set. I'm going to have my quality on Ultra. I'm going to have it set to single monitor. If you had multi-monitor gaming, you could tell it, how many screens you had, and it would render out the entire scene across all of those monitors at once. And I'm going to do 4x anti-aliasing, and we're going to run it at 1080p resolution.
And you mentioned that there's going to be a bit of a penalty for what you guys will be seeing because of the fact.
Oh yeah, and if you watch it on the live stream, it's going to get choppy.
Yeah, it's going to look terrible, but you get the idea.
Yeah. So here we go. So it's starting up now, and I'm going to let it play for a little bit because it just gets cooler and cooler.
Yeah.
But this is the 3D world that they've created here. And up in the right-hand corner of my screen, I can see I'm getting about 35 frames per second right now. It gives you my hardware information. It's a GTX 680 running at 758 megahertz with 1.8 with the memory running at 1800 megahertz. And right now it's at 60 degrees Celsius, my GPU. Now, as this runs, that's going to get hotter.
Oh, definitely. Even though we are, in fact, sitting in an igloo right now.
Yeah, it is 40 degrees where we're at right now.
Well,
actually,
that's probably a little.
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold. It's cold. So you can see look at the depth of field tricks they're doing with the blur here.
Exactly.
Looks really good.
It's just super crisp. Super crisp.
So you have a set of scenes, and you run it. You can. So right now I'm just in chill mode, right? This is smoke yourself a bowl and enjoy mode. But if you could put it in full-on benchmark mode, and it counts through the scenes. It'll actually do in-depth frame analysis of the performance there. It's really neat. I'm going to let it play just for a second because it gets even better. Now look at that. Now think about that, Matt. That performance there is while it's mirrored.
I mean and I'm amazed that with it, especially with it being mirrored, that it can do that.
I mean, we're starting to lose it on the stream because it's just so much motion. Yeah, but in the download version, it'll look better. But to really experience this, you got to download it yourself. Yep. You got to install it on your own machine because it's breathtakingly beautiful in person.
Oh, it's amazing.
All right, so here comes the bad weather. So look at the rain as it comes in.
Oh my God, it's even on the camera lens. Right?
Yeah. And then as we get down on the rocks, the glistening wet rocks, look at that. Look at that.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that
See it
amazing?
running down, and it looks real.
Isn't that incredible?
That is ridiculous.
I know. And so now the GPU is up to 70. So we've gone up. The GPU's gone up 10 degrees. We're up at 72 degrees now. Don't you just wish you were there right now?
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know about the rain, but it definitely, I would, with an umbrella, you bet.
Look
Yeah,
at
it's
that.
like 28 degrees outside right now, so it's definitely probably a little warmer than that over there. So I'd take it.
Yeah. They also have another one that's of a town, of a little village that's in the sky. It's in the clouds in the sky, and it's also just absolutely gorgeous. But I'm an outdoors kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
So, anyways, absolutely gorgeous.
That is just.
And I should probably get out of here now because I could stare at this all day. And
of course, for like I said, for the live streamers, it doesn't do it justice. You're just getting jumbled on all the data coming at you.
Yep. So that's Benchmark Valley from Eugene or Unigine, Unigine,
yeah.
and we'll have a link to both that one and Haven or Heaven in the show notes. Those are pretty cool. Now so that's the GPU, Matt.
GPU.
Get your GPU benchmark. But what about if you want to stress your CPU? Maybe you're an overclocker, or maybe you just want to generate some heat, or maybe you want to pound on the CPU while you're also throwing everything you can at the disk controller and see if you run into contention there. Well, one thing you would do on the Windows machines would run Prime 95. You heard of Prime 95?
I have heard of Prime 95.
Yeah. Well, so I want to tell you about M-Prime. M-Prime is practically the same thing as Prime 95, only it's for Linux.
Oh, sweet.
And it connects to a remote service. You can anonymously submit your machine stats to it. It'll download some work from that remote service. And then begin to crunch it. And you can tell it how many CPU cores you have. It's aware of hyper-threading, so it can accommodate for that.
Nice.
You can test 2 cores at once. You can test all of the cores at once. It's pretty bare bones to get the download. I'll link to the download. You got to go in here and find the latest version, which at the time was like version 276, updated on May of 2012. It hasn't been updated for a while, but you're just banging on your CPU.
Yeah,
so.
it does what it needs to do.
I mean, Prime 95 is literally from Windows 95.
Yeah.
So you've got, in our show notes, you've got 3 different benchmarks you can throw at your machine. And again, it's not really so much what the benchmarks tell you. It's more about you establishing a baseline, seeing how they work under stress.
And you
all
can,
that
and as he pointed out earlier, you can actually compare each individual computer in your home office or whatever it may be, and kind of see which one you want to run which task.
And it'll be interesting when that Leopard Extreme is fired up to see just the difference between the Bonobes and the Leopard Extreme.
That's going to put it in perspective for sure.
In fact, I'll show you. So you can, with the free version, you get a pretty basic report. And here's what it looks like. On the free version, you get my average frame rate was 30 seconds, or 28 frames per second.
Oh, okay.
But my max was 49 frames per second. My minimum was 18.
And this is a local file that was produced and is available on your hard drive.
Little HTML file. You can see it's using the GTX 680M PCI Express, and it even gives you the driver version.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Oh, I guess I have 4 gigs of video memory in this thing.
That's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
For a laptop? Yeah.
And then you can see 1220 by 1800 with 4x anti-aliasing, and the graphics quality was set to ultra. So it's kind of neat. And then you just save that for each computer, and you can just kind of compare and contrast how each one performs.
You can't beat that with a stick.
No, Matt, you definitely can't. All right, Matt, let's do the news.
Hey, it's the news, and this episode is brought to you by
Ting.com, Matt. Ting is mobile that makes sense. My mobile service provider, Matt's mobile service provider.
Bam.
Matt's got the Note 2, and I just got myself the Nexus 5Zs. Jeez, it's 11 o'clock. We're running behind, Matt. See, I can tell that on that huge, high-resolution Nexus 5 screen right there. See that?
Yeah, you can actually see the clock through the camera with the magic of the internet and then back on the stream.
You know what else you see there? The Ting app.
The Ting app.
Right there, yeah.
Gotta love the Ting app.
Ting has so many great features. So let's talk a little bit about it. No contracts and no early terminations. That's what I really love as a longtime Ting customer now. But I'll tell you what else is really great. This dashboard. I want to show this to you because we don't always talk about the dashboard. It is sort of one of the coolest things that's going on over at Ting. So let me give you a couple of the basics while we look at this. Ting, you only pay for what you use. It's $6 a month for a flat line. And then whatever usage on top of that, they take your messages, your megabytes, and your minutes, they add them up at the end of the month, and you just pay for what you use. So you don't pay $60, $70, $80, $90 into some sort of smartphone plan where maybe you only use $20 of the minutes that month. That would be, I mean, if you think about it in that way, it's a little ridiculous that we get swindled into these kind of arrangements.
Think about it. It's like a holiday season. All of a sudden, your voice usage goes up, your data usage goes way down, or vice versa. And, it's important to only pay for what you're using.
Plus, Ting Ting really warms my heart with their dashboard. You can configure your voicemail, where calls go when you don't receive it, when you don't answer the call, where you want that to forward to. You can activate and deactivate devices when you don't need them. So if like for example, you have a little MiFi type device and you're not going to need it for a few months, just turn it off and then turn it back on when you do need it. They also combine all of the power of the essentials in the Ting mobile app, which makes it really easy to manage on the go and see where you're at, especially when you have multiple lines. If you're on a small team, a family, or a business, there's so many great features. Included with every Ting plan is hotspot, tethering, and roaming, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. Also, Ting has excellent customer service. You can call them at 1-855-TING-FTW anytime between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern. And Matt? A real Canadian will answer the phone.
Real Canadians answer the phone.
And you know what? Some of them are pretty attractive. Those Canadians, I got to tell you, I don't know what they're eating up there.
And we live close enough to where we've been known to,
It's sometimes worth a visit.
check them out.
Ting's got a bunch of great devices right now.
Yep.
I love the HTC One. I love the Nexus 5. Mike Dominic from Coda Radio recommends the Motorola Moto X. I haven't tried it yet myself, but they also have a bunch of new devices coming. They've got the Galaxy S4 Mini coming, which looks like it could be pretty cool. They got the Mega, if you like it big. They got the Tab 3 coming. They got the Galaxy Gear coming. The LG G2, which is 5.2-inch screen, 423 ppi screen, 13 megapixel camera, 32 gigs of internal storage. And it's got that button on the back, which I'm kind of curious how that would work. So it's got like your volume controller rocker and things like that.
They got some crazy looking watch thing too.
That's the Galaxy Gear.
That's awesome.
But so isn't it interesting where they put the rocker there?
No,
I'm curious about that.
Wild.
Yeah, I'm curious how that would work. So that's on the G2. Lots of great devices coming to Ting. So yeah, there's the Galaxy Gear, which works with like the Note, which would be pretty cool. And for you keyboard fans, they got a device. Here's the new MiFi coming. And then down here's a new feature phone. These feature phones, you can pick them up like 60, 70 bucks.
Nice to have on hand, stick in a drawer, use them when you need them. Yeah.
This feature phone is going to be $100. $100 for a phone that you own outright with no contract, no early termination fee, and you only pay for what you use.
There it is.
And then if you're like a Q5Sys in our IRC chat room, he wants this Kyocera here because it's got a physical keyboard.
Oh, wow.
Dude, just all about the physical keyboard.
Crazy.
Yep, it's going to be an Android smartphone. It actually has a slide-out QWERTY keyboard. They still exist.
I could use that. I could totally use that.
It's going to be around $70.
Oh, yeah, for that. No problem.
$70 with no contract, no early termination, built-in tethering and hotspot. Just uses your regular minutes. They got caller ID, voicemail, picture messaging, all of that included. You pick that up for $70. You get a QWERTY keyboard, Android-powered device with no contract.
70 bones and it's yours.
That's pretty awesome. So go over to last.ting.com. That way we get credit. And you get a $25 discount. So if you go to last.ting.com, you get a $25 discount on your first month of service if you have a Sprint-compatible phone. If you don't have a phone and you want to pick up one of their awesome phones that you'll own outright, they'll take $25 off that. And go check them out. They got a lot of great devices. And if you're a Verizon or AT&T customer, I invite you to go over to last.ting.com right now and take advantage of their savings calculator. They're giving out Starbucks coffees to you AT&T and Verizon switchers. In fact, I think all you have to do is really just try it out.
Yeah, that's what I understand. It's like, this is great. And between that and all the other deals they give you as far as helping you switch, it's like, here, let us help you with the cost of that switching.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in that, if you've been thinking about trying that savings calculator and want to get a Starbucks gift card, just go to ting.com/coffee after you visit last.ting.com. That way you charge your shopping session with our tag. And I think that's going to be a pretty cool deal. So go check out Ting. I've been using them since the beginning of the year. I am so happy. And now I got the Nexus 5 from the Google Play Store. Remember, when you order your Nexus 5 from the Google Play Store, also go order your SIM card from Ting. And you pop that SIM card in there, then you power up the Nexus 5. Bob's your uncle. And if you have any problems, you can go to help.ting.com or ting.com/help. You go over there. They have a great forum that helps you, and you can also call their tech support, and they'll actually know what a Nexus 5 is, a SIM card, and what Android is. They're actually familiar with these things.
Nice.
Crazy concept.
Love that.
So a big thank you to Ting for sponsoring the Linux Action Show.
Good times.
Okay, Matt, so let's start with some big news this week. This news is like, in fact, you said it best on the pre-show when we were streaming. You're like, wow, this means Valve is serious.
They are.
So it's official. Valve has joined the Linux Foundation. Now, we haven't seen numbers kicked around here, but usually when you join the Linux Foundation, there's a little bit of the entrance is a fee. There's a fee to get into that.
There's a substantial fee.
Yeah, it's not minor. It's thousands. A quote from Valve, or from the Linux Foundation, joining the Linux Foundation is one of the many ways Valve is investing in the advancement of Linux gaming. Through these efforts, we hope to contribute tools for developers building new experiences on Linux, compel hardware manufacturers to prioritize support for Linux, and ultimately deliver an elegant and open platform for Linux users.
That's awesome.
This is, to me, so the biggest statement thing that Valve did was just releasing Steam for Linux. And that was really them saying, here's our flag in the ground. We're really serious about Linux. And then they announced SteamOS. And I was like, oh, okay, so now they're investing around Linux. And then they went the extra mile by taking the controller and saying, well, here, it's an open hardware design. Take the controller and use it as you want. And now we have this financial backing as part of the Linux Foundation. Now, a lot of people don't know what the Linux Foundation does, so we're going to get to that in a second. But I wanted to play, the Linux Foundation made a really cool video to kind of celebrate the moment, so I'll play a little bit of that for you.
We're generating about 2 to 3% of the worldwide mobile and land-based IP traffic. We've got all of our source code, all of our models, all of our animations, all of the assets are all being run on top of Linux. We love the performance, we love the reliability and robustness of it.
We played that, now here comes Linus.
Announcements. That's an opportunity to maybe really help the desktop.
This February this year, we shipped a Steam client for Linux. And as much as anything, that was a signal to our development partners that we really were serious about this Linux thing that we were talking with them about. And now, today, we have 198 games that we're running on Linux.
Steam is this one company that has a vision for how to do things, and I think that will force a lot of the other vendors around them to realize, hey, if this is the way Steam is going, we need to do the same thing because we can't afford to be different in this respect because we want people to be able to play games on our platform too.
We've seen tremendous evolution and innovation in the open space. We think that process is going to continue, and we think that we need to be knocking down as many barriers and reducing friction, not going in the other direction. What we became convinced of is that Linux really is the future of gaming.
And I love the fact that Tux the Penguin has a valve on his head because you need to turn up the Linux.
Right.
Got to turn that up.
So good video and very exciting. It really kind of marks the momentous occasion. Now, I know not all of you listening really could give two Fs about gaming on Linux. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have been on Linux. But I'll tell you, as somebody who has been following this with his own wallet, the Steam store every week now, 3 or 4 or 5 new titles. It feels like I'm constantly getting at least 1 or 2 new games a week now, and that's me. Now I'm getting to the point where I used to just get it when it came out for Linux, and now I have to be picky because there's so many games coming out for Linux.
Which is a good problem to have.
It is astonishingly a good problem. Like right now, this Ultrabook, this UltraPro is sitting here. It's downloading 3 games off of Steam just as we sit here, and they're all extremely high-quality, good games.
It's fantastic. And what's cool is that the side benefit for the people that are not necessarily into gaming is that they know that because as gaming gains adoption rates in Linux, you're going to see better and better hardware improvements. Graphics are going to get better, cheaper, more effective. It has a lot of benefits outside of the gaming space.
You know, it's interesting, too, because we've talked about before how Steam has the potential to deliver just general software, and it could even become a universal app store for the Linux desktop. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Well, it's already. I've been browsing around Steam and been looking at, like in the Windows space, for example. It's already happening.
It
is already happening.
In fact,
it could happen here for us.
There was some Geekbench, the benchmarking software, was just greenlit for Steam, and it is a Windows and Linux benchmarking suite that'll be distributed via Steam. So it's going to not. It's. I think it's the first non-game that's going to become available to Linux boxes via Steam. So we're starting to see the distribution of just general straight-up applications.
Good stuff.
Nice.
I'm excited.
All right, so we were talking about the Linux Foundation, and folks might not know what the Linux Foundation... By the way, if you want to see the whole video that we just played, we have a link to that in the show notes. And this article goes into some detail. So this is an interview with Linux Foundation Executive Director Jim Zimlin, and he says that they've been seeing a huge uptick in the interest of Linux with all of the NSA spying revelations. He says, we've addressed the controversial issues of government spying and backdoors. And this is VentureBeat doing the interview, and he says, they say security and privacy has been the hottest topic this year, bar none. We've heard rumors that Linus was approached by the government for a backdoor. So Zimlin says, if there was a backdoor in Linux, you'd know it. The whole world can see every line of code in Linux. This is one of the reasons Linux is more secure than other operating systems and why open source software overall is safer than closed source software. The transparency of code ensures it's secure. And for the record, he wasn't approached. So they go on to ask, do you think there's any chance this year that privacy, security, and surveillance issues have driven or will drive more consumers towards Linux? He answers, around the world, I'm hearing people say using open source is critical to ensure privacy. So yes, I think it will drive more users. This is something I've noticed too, is now it is just the standard internet response. Well, if it was open source, you could audit it.
It is. It's becoming the new, just Google it.
Yeah.
It really is becoming that next
And I
next
kind of
item.
think that's a big deal. Like, because
I think it's an important deal.
we have all of these, we have all of these positive security associations with open source, and that just sort of raises all of the ships at once. I
Yes.
think that's kind of a big deal, and I have noticed that trend as well. And that's the kind of organic marketing that's like just, that's the kind that really locks in.
Yep.
So here's a good line of question. VentureBeat asks, what's the most exciting use case you've seen so far for Linux in the embedded automobile space? Something we haven't talked a lot about, but I think this is actually getting pretty interesting. He says, no question, in-vehicle infotainment systems being built by Cadillac, Tesla, Toyota, Jaguar, Land Rover, and others. For example, the Tesla Model S, which won the Motor Trend Car of the Year in 2013, features a 17-inch flat-screen computer running a custom-built Linux OS. It's really cool stuff.
Whoa.
The 2014 Motor Trend Car of the Year was just revealed. That's the Cadillac CTS sedan. It also uses Linux for its in-vehicle infotainment system. The success of Linux can be seen in the latest numbers from the IHS Automotive, which reported this month that sales of Linux automotives are expected to rise 53.7 million units in 2020. Passing Microsoft BlackBerry QNX in global automotive infotainment market.
Ooh.
Now here's a little bit of what's the Linux Foundation do. The Linux Foundation does a lot of work in this area with automotive grade Linux work groups. By hosting a neutral, supportive environment among the Linux kernel community and other open source communities and the automotive industry, we're able to help advance automotive Linux technologies among some of the world's largest automakers, including Nissan, Jaguar, Land Rover, Toyota, and more.
That's awesome. That's just so cool. I mean, it's amazing how everything's just coming to fruition almost all at once. That's how it feels.
Yeah, like you got Steam on the desktop end, you got cloud hosting on the server end, you've got infotainment needs on the automotive end, and here is the last piece that's sort of like, I've been saying this in the last few episodes, like Linux is just becoming the general technology platform and is taking over everywhere. So they asked him, what is the biggest opportunity for free and open source software in 2014? I did not expect this answer, but it's actually, it shows you he's clued in. He says, we've talked about gaming and consumer devices. They talked about more of those earlier in the interview, which I cut out. But the enterprise continues to present even more opportunity for Linux. The realization of years of promise in software-defined networking will be one of the major stories of 2014. People do not appreciate how big software-defined networking and network function virtualization will become. Think about it. Billions of dollars are spent on hardware-based switches, routers, load balancers, firewalls, etc. This is all being abstracted into software. More importantly, it's being abstracted via open source software in the sweet spot for open source, which is at the infrastructure layer. I think you'll see projects like Open Daylight and others have a big breakout year in 2014.
Interesting. Personally, myself, I'm holding out for the self-driving car.
Oh, yeah.
That then turns your windshield into a big old flat screen television.
Yeah,
and it just takes me
because you're watching. You don't need to worry. You're not driving.
I'm watching the faux show as I'm driving up to the Linux action show. You know what I'm saying? That's my goal.
Nice.
That's what I want.
You know what? I'll be honest. Every now and then I do stream video on my phone while I'm driving. I'm not often. I don't watch it. I listen. But if I stop at a stoplight, I might glance over and be like, oh, yeah, that's cool.
Or if you're in traffic, what do you care, right?
I did not go through all the trouble setting up Plex for nothing. All right. So a lot of pressure on Microsoft these days with the NSA stuff. Microsoft has been taking a beating. There's been lots of accusations of backdoors. I think we all kind of suspect there are some in there.
Oh, yeah.
Microsoft's just trying to figure out a way to sort of combat this getting attacked on multiple fronts on this, what I'm going to call source code pressure. Well, Microsoft took to the heavily read blog that they have over at TechNet, and they said the title of the post, Protecting Customer Data from Government Snooping. So, Matt, I ask you.
Damage control much? What?
How do you protect customers from government snooping if your source code is closed source?
It's crap. It's just basically they're in damage control mode right now, and that's what their blog is basically being used as a mouthpiece.
Here's how you pick what their solution is. Sure. You take the most asinine idea, because here's what the title says: protecting customer data from government snooping. Right. Yeah. So
Sounds
Microsoft's
nice.
solution is dun 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 dun. increasing transparency. Just as we've called for governments to become more transparent about their issues, we believe it is appropriate for us to be more transparent ourselves. We therefore are taking additional steps to increase transparency. Now here it is, Matt. By building on our long-standing program that provides government customers with appropriate ability to renew and or to review our source code, reassure themselves of its integrity, and confirm there are no backdoors. So to help protect us all from governments,
Wait.
they're going to allow governments to look at the Windows source code.
So yeah, okay. It's like, okay, so the guy that's got the binoculars across the street that's peeping into my house, we want to have make sure we have more transparency, so I know he's doing it. So they're going to basically he's going to text me every time he's watching me get undressed or something.
What you need to do is just set up a webcam. If you could just get a drop cam in your house, that'd make it a lot easier.
He's going to let me know.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I'm going to snoop on your ass.
So this, and here's the other thing is, I have friends that work at Microsoft, and I have been told like there is no amount of preparation for the spaghetti mess you walk into when you step into core Windows code. Like it is like an archaeological dig.
But they rebuilt everything from the ground up this last time. Remember, they brought it down to the
talking like, you just dust a bone over here and like the whole thing crumbles over here. So first of all, the idea that like government or government contractors could just pop open the Windows source code in Notepad and just like be solid with what they see in there is a joke in itself. Yeah. And secondary, it is completely irrelevant. If the Chinese government, let's say, because this might be who this is targeted at, because China's a huge market, right?
Sure, could be.
And China's very nervous about backdoors. That's why they have Red Linux and things like that.
That's it.
So they look at this and so they say, well, look, China, you can look at the source code. Well, unless you can prove with absolute certainty that the code they are looking at is the same code that built the binary that the user is now running, it's pointless. Yeah. Because if something can be slipped in there between the time of review and the time of build, that's why there was this whole kerfuffle about auditing the TrueCrypt code.
But even if that is accurate, which I don't think it is, I think you're absolutely right. I think even if it's accurate that they genuinely won't mess with the code, they give the governments of the world full auditable capabilities. Even if that's accurate, that does nothing for the end user.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Even if that's true, which I don't think it is.
So, yeah, you're right. It was total damage control mode, and it's a pretty weak-handed attempt.
Very sad.
And it shows you how one of the core aspects of their business model, this closed code, is hurting them in these infrastructure-type deployments.
It's not working. Hey guys, 1995 called. They want their business model back.
No kidding.
It's not working.
Sorry, Microsoft. Let's move on to some good news.
Yeah.
So Linux Journal had their Best of Linux 2013 Reader's Choice Awards in their December issue. So if you want to pick up the December copy of Linux Journal, go do it.
Yes.
Because it's probably best to have this one in print form. These are always fun. They're always good. They're always good to look at and kind of see where people landed. So let's start with the best Linux distribution of 2013 as picked by the Linux Journal readers, and it is Ubuntu with 16% of the votes. Debian coming in at 14. Arch at 10.8,
which is awesome.
Above Mint.
I'm quite happy with that, actually.
Yeah. Like above Ubuntu, above OpenSUSE and Fedora. I mean, that's kind of incredible, actually. That's a huge year of growth for Arch.
Really interesting to see where some of these ranked. It's interesting to see Puppy still in there because I know they've had some rough times lately, so good times.
Debian was picked as the best distribution for netbooks or machines of limited hardware. Makes sense. Limited hardware.
Debian's very powerful.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Let's see, we'll just do a couple more of these.
Yeah, sure.
The best mobile OS, not too surprising this year. Maybe it'll shake out differently next year. Android. Sailfish OS coming in at a distant second, 17%.
And I would have thought maybe Firefox would have been a number 2. That's interesting.
I was surprised that Sailfish outbeat CyanogenMod.
Well, yeah, because it's kind of like you can use it today versus it will be cool. I'm not really sure I follow. But that's cool.
Tizen way down on the list.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
Just yeah.
Best Linux smartphone manufacturer went to Samsung, and then Yalla. Hey, by the way, back to the Yalla thing.
Yeah.
Did some digging on the pronunciation of Yalla, and the creators of Yalla are actually okay with people calling it Jala.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they understand that that's the Western pronunciation of it. But second of all, like. That's a good name. It's Jala. That sounds like I'm happy. Sounds
Absolutely.
like it's making me happy.
Jala, make me holla. I'm good with that.
All right, should we warp ahead to our favorite category?
Warp ahead.
All right, so coming in, this is at page. What page is this?
Well, I always like to find out if Linus is going to be number 1 or if he's going to make it to number 1. That's usually my big,
So 53 pages into the Reader's Choice 2013 Awards.
Wow, that's a big job.
This is the one that we're both pretty stoked about. Best Linux open source advocate and evangelist. Number 1 on the list, Linus Torvalds. That makes sense.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Number 2, GitHub. I mean, I'll take it. It's not a person, but I could take it.
But they definitely rock.
And they distribute an S ton of open source code, right?
Sure.
Richard Stallman, number 3.
Okay.
I can, you know what? If you're talking open source advocate, well,
Man gets up on stage, says
he
his
might have
piece.
preferred it was the free software app, but you know
take
what?
it.
I'll take it. Number 4 on the list, Jupiter Broadcasting. Ding, 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 ding. That's awesome. That's so great to see. And, the big show's approaching, I think it's 8th year now.
I know, wow.
And we've launched Linux Unplugged, too. So we're putting out a ton of weekly Linux content
I can see it in the
these
future now when we're all on oxygen masks and, just totally Gerties.
John Mad Dog Hall made the list.
Right
Further
on.
down on the list, Mark Shuttleworth.
Oh, boy. I'm actually shocked that he made it.
I kid, Mark. I kid.
Because he's had some, not because he's a bad person or anything's wrong, but he's had some rough waters. So,
Oh, yeah, but
but at least he's done a lot of good. So I think it's nice that that's still settled out.
I think it would be. How could Jupiter Broadcasting go above RMS or Torvalds?
Oh,
I think.
yeah, it's not gonna
I think
happen.
we could maybe take GitHub spot because that's not a person.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, GitHub, I'd say probably would be below us as far as advocacy, but at the same time, the other two guys certainly.
Am I the sucker? I don't know what it is. I think maybe I'm just too campy. I love all of these end of year. We got to do some end of year
They're
stuff.
fun, yeah.
We got to do our predictions episode at the end of the year.
I think. Oh yeah. Well, and I
see
think
how
they're
we did.
important for reflection.
It
and
is
whatnot.
nice.
Yeah.
it's nice for reflection. Yeah, so that's
Look
cool.
back on it and be like, oh my God, look what we thought.
So go grab the December issue of Linux Journal if you'd like to
Yeah.
see it in print. And having been now on this side of a list like this, you realize like how hard Sean Powers and the team over there worked on this list. Like, not only did we get an email a few days heads up, but like there was a misspell, and they didn't just go update the HTML.
No.
They pulled down the whole thing, to
Which
fix
is
the
awesome.
spelling.
Yeah. And that to me says that probably was Sean because he's hardcore.
Yeah, Sean emailed the whole team. We got to scramble the jets.
Yeah. DEFCON 2.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's great.
So,
Good
anyways,
times. Good job, guys. Really.
that's pretty fun. Good list to be on. Now,
Oh, yes.
something just to bring you guys up to date on. Last week, we announced that we had our falling out with Amazon, which continued throughout the week. So when I signed up as an Amazon affiliate years ago, I set up 3 accounts, and then we set up a whole nother account under a completely different login to Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
So 4 accounts total. And at the time, I thought maybe each show would have its own affiliate account.
At the time, you could do that, yeah.
And I wasn't sure, was that good or not? And then I realized it's actually better if you aggregate everything under one.
Yeah, you kind of had to.
Yeah. So, but I had all these. Amazon has individually been shutting them down.
Yeah, because their policies on it.
So we're
yeah.
totally our Amazon affiliate is in the U.S. I think we still have a UK one active until they find that, and a Canada one.
Jeez.
But we're just totally shut down. So that was a massive blow to the Jupiter Broadcasting
huge.
funding. And one of the things we did to kind of help close the gap. Well, first I sold some Bitcoins at the high. What's up?
Yeah, hello.
And then
Hello,
the
hello.
other thing we did, which is that. So the reason we did that is to pay for. We're not getting paid for the last 3 months worth of revenue, and we wanted to fill that back hole. So we did that with the Bitcoin. And then we're trying to finance the rest of 2013, and we've launched a T-shirt campaign. Now we announced a long sleeve shirt last Linux Action Show, and that's still available. It's still looking great. But a lot of people had asked, and it's cold
I think
out.
hoodie's what sent it over. I think that's what really.
So now we've rolled out the Jupiter Broadcasting hoodie. We were trying to reach a goal of 499 shirts. We're currently sitting at 619.
Awesome.
So everybody's going to get their shirt. We unlocked the goal. The shirt is still available for 1 week. The next Linux Action Show is when the shirt ends. So it'll be ending on last, I believe, at an hour or 3 before last or whatever it is. So you have until next Linux Action Show to go pick up a hoodie. We've also, if you're getting one for yourself or a family member and you're a lady, we've got a women's tee now.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, we've also just got a straight up short sleeve tee.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and tagless at that. And these are Hanes shirts, so they're nice and thick. They're good.
Good stuff. Good quality stuff.
Look at that hoodie, huh?
I know, right?
See, and I'm wearing the old school hoodie.
Oh, yeah.
With the old logo.
Right on.
But that looks
that just pops. It's nice.
This is
and,
retro now.
Unlocked achievement.
I don't think we're gonna have any spare hoodies. So if you want a hoodie, you're gonna have these shirts. When this run's done, we're not gonna print these shirts anymore. That's kind of the way this Teespring thing works. Is they're a limited time buy. They're only available for 1 more week.
That's right.
You can go to teespring.com/Jupiter2014 if you'd like to help finance the remainder of 2013 and help us kick off 2014 and also get yourself something. Maybe get your whole family something. Right. Teespring.com/Jupiter2014. And thank you not only to those of you who have picked up a shirt, but we also got a lot of very generous donations over at JupiterBroadcasting.com/support.
Oh, super.
Thank you guys very much. You definitely solved the awkward and sort of on the edge situation I have with my wife where she's like, you might need to go back to work.
Oh, I've had
I'm
that.
like,
I know that conversation. Yeah,
So,
I understand.
Thankfully, I think we've avoided that talk. And I really appreciate all of the support, you guys. It means a lot. And thank you for grabbing those shirts. I want to see your pictures when you get them.
Absolutely. And you can send them either to Chris or myself. Probably it might be just be easier if you send it to me because my inbox is easy to navigate.
Or Ange.
Or Ange, actually. Yeah, that might even be better.
Because I think we might do a faux show on it. I don't know. We haven't talked about it. I'm just guesstimating.
Either way, but yeah.
Or on the subreddit.
Yeah.
LinuxActionShow.reddit.com.
Either way, it's all going to end up in her inbox. So,
Yeah. Either way.
All right.
Hey, look. Left 4 Dead finished downloading.
Holy crap.
I think it's time we go get this review on. What do you think?
Let's get the review on.
All right, Matt. That's all the news for this week. Now, we've got 2 new laptops in-house, and it's time for us to kick the tire. System76 sent these bad boys into us, and it's kind of it's interesting timing for both Matt and I. I've got the Bonobo Extreme as my main rig, but it's a big laptop, and I've often thought, like for doing show prep and family time, when we go somewhere for like on a Friday, or I'm sitting in a lot of movies these days we're watching in the living room because it's so damn cold outside, so we're just doing the movie thing. And this right here, I'm just going to call it the UltraPro, the Galago UltraPro. You can see it's a nice thin machine. I got it plugged in. I got a lot of wires hanging off right now because I have it plugged into our HDMI capture, so I can show you some visual demos of it. So I've got the UltraPro here, and then Matt, you've got the Kudu Professional there.
Bam! I mean, look at that.
And it's got show like the keyboard there. It's got like this. First of all, it's got the number key, but it's got kind of like a textured design on it, on the plastic piece there, on the polycarbonate there. Yeah, kind of got it, which I would guess would reduce the like if you scratched it like with your watch. I think that would help kind of cover some of that up because it's kind of got a pattern design to it. So I've got it plugged in right here on my main display. This is the UltraPro we're running off of. And the UltraPro spec-wise has a Haswell processor in it. It's got a 14.1-inch screen, but it's full 1920 by 1080 resolution. And it's an IPS display at that, so you have incredible side-to-side.
It's just gorgeous.
It really doesn't start to fall off until you almost have it completely turned away from you. It's got a really good display on it. And when you take 1920, it's essentially a 1080p resolution, and you put it on a 14-inch screen, it is so insanely crisp. I really notice it because my Bonobo is also 1080p, but it's a 17-inch display.
So you actually see that differential.
Oh yeah, I mean it's very crisp here. It's really a tight display. It's also got the Iris Pro graphics, the Intel 5200 with 128 megabytes of RAM. We'll go into that in a little more detail here. It's got a multi-touch trackpad, which I can right now I'm using to scroll with 2 fingers, which is pretty nice. And this one has an SSD built in. It does. It's got a surprisingly good webcam, too. Check out, here, I'll launch Qi.
Yeah, this is great. This is cool.
And it even has hardware controls to activate and deactivate the webcam. But generally, Matt and I always have a problem where the webcams look horribly blown out in the studio because there's a really bright light behind me.
Exactly.
Look how amazing it is handling
and how adaptive it is. I'm really, really happy with the webcam, especially like if you want a nice little Skype box. I mean, this is great.
Yeah. I mean, it is definitely one of the best webcams in a Linux laptop that I've ever seen. I don't have a lot of comparison because I generally go with an external Logitech.
But it's providing a good positive experience. I'm really happy with it.
It also has speakers on the sides, and then it has something that System76 has been revamping, and this is the revamped version. It has a keyboard, and this keyboard has gotten some criticism by other reviewers, and so this is a new version of the keyboard. They've replaced it, and people who also have already gotten this unit have replacement keyboards that have been sent out to them. This keyboard is absolutely usable. All key press is registered. It has a good travel distance on the key press. I wrote up some stuff in LibreOffice, and I thought it actually was a joy to type on. In fact, both the Kudu and the UltraPro, I'd say, have probably slightly nicer keyboards than my Bonobo, even though I've always felt like my Bonobo had a really good keyboard. I think I like the layout of your keyboard the best on the Kudu there. I think that's probably got the best layout. Plus, you get the 10 key still. And it's just the keys are just slightly more spaced out than they are in my Bonobo. And so you have a little less accidental key press. The Bonobo, I think, gives a little more satisfying of a type.
A little more mechanical, sure.
Yeah. But the UltraPro, this new keyboard, it's obvious that System76 really took a lot of that feedback to heart when they built this one. So I guess the way we're kind of breaking this review up is, we're going to give you some follow-up after we've had more time to play with them on Tuesday's Linux Unplugged. However, Matt's had them for a week. He's been kicking the tires. I've been spending the morning with them, and it was interesting, my impression. So Matt brought both of them in, and we took both of them out of the box, and I was immediately drawn to this laptop.
Oh yeah, he's all like he's like all running math and trying to figure that out.
Oh yeah, I mean it was. First of all, it's,
I'm with him on it totally.
the Kudu has it's a good like a hard plastic, whereas this is a metal.
Yeah.
And it's
all
very
brushed stainless feel, look to it. And,
yeah, it's very thin. And the other thing that just because I'm an old IT guy who walked around having to carry notes and stuff,
so light,
and I still have to walk around my house with the kids, I really like the way that the design has been such that there is this handle here so that I can hold this in one hand, and walk around with it. I think that's a really nice and because it's so light. Here, put in your magic secret sauce for me there, Matt. It's very portable. The way it's kind of, you can see, like I can even hold it to the side like that.
Right.
And you can see the screen's nice and sturdy.
It's got great hinges. It's very solid. It doesn't feel chintzy.
So when you combine that nice metal clean look to it, and it's super thin. Also, we were on the pre-show playing Serious Sam 3, Trine, and Zero AD on this, and the fans only kicked up like once.
Exactly.
And when the fans aren't kicked up, it's totally silent. So on the side here, we've got USB 3 and an SD card reader, 3 USB ports over here, and your audio jacks. On the other side, you've got DisplayPort, HDMI, and your power. The HDMI hookup worked flawlessly. I just plugged it into my capture machine, and this image you're seeing right now on the screen is the HDMI pickup from this laptop. It was plug it in, and I was like, okay, Matt, give me a few minutes.
Right.
I got to go configure this. And I looked at it like, oh, it's working just fine.
It was just done.
Yeah. I mean, that's the joy of the Intel integrated experience, right?
And of course, with this one, you got a slightly different setup as far as where your ports are at, but it's very comparable. Graphics are comparable. Drive's comparable. It's very much the same type of machine experience, just on a larger screen, which is a nice desktop replacement unit. Yeah. I would rock this 6 ways from Sunday if I had it.
So a great example is that would be a good machine for my wife because she's got to have the 10 key.
Yeah, this is Yeah, you got a full 10 key on this keyboard. Full 10 key.
Yeah. And the materials of that make it lighter than it looks, especially for the size.
Yeah, I mean, I can pick this up and it's not a problem. I mean, it's,
So I thought for sure, because I figured everybody watching would be like, oh, well, System76 sponsors your show, so of course you're only going to say nice things. So I thought what I would do is I would come out here and I would show you how poor it performs at graphics and say, well, it's a great machine, but if you want to play video games, this is definitely not the
That was our goal initially, unfortunately.
That was going to be the point I gave it a hard time on. However,
we
surprised. Now, it's not like it's... so I'll put it in perspective for you. The Bonobo over here is a year old now, as of November.
And it's dedicated graphics.
And it certainly looks better.
Sure.
And it certainly performs better. But having said that, we are able to play at 1080p. Of course, now Unity's being a spaz. We're able to play at 1080p with mirrored graphics and still be satisfied with the look. So I'll just give you a little demo. I'll resume my game. Now, bear in mind, too, as we're showing you this is mirrored, right? We're doing HDMI mirroring out to a capture machine. So the video card is rendering this twice. And here we are. This is Trine 2 on the UltraPro while we're mirroring video. It is gorgeous looking. And of course, Unity's kind of...
Yeah, Unity's doing weird things. Had we exited the game and come back, it'd have been fine. But outside of that, it still runs great. It's running really
totally
well.
Playable. It's, in fact, I'll jump out so we can get it. I'll jump out so we can get it without the Unity sidebar because I want you to see it full screen. We also tried Left 4 Dead. We did run into performance problems there. And Serious Sam 3 worked as well, although when we hooked it up to the mirroring, we had to actually just self-adjust it.
Oh, yeah, totally.
We turned down the graphics. That's to be expected. But I thought the big compromise on a really portable machine like this, now that it's not the display, because in the past, before this was available, one of the reasons I went big was because I wanted...
Well, yeah, you wanted to be able to game.
I wanted to have high resolution, and I wanted to be able to make sure everything I played worked just fine. That is definitely the case.
Yeah, I mean, the visuals on this, just in-game or out-of-game, is just so crisp.
So I'll do...
both of these.
Let's also do a little Zero AD. I wanted to pick a few games that people like, and this was recommended to us by the chat room. Let's see, I'll do that map.
Yeah.
And let's do... a naval map?
Oh, go naval. Yeah.
All maps? I don't know.
I don't either.
Default map?
Default, yeah, just do default.
Scenario will be random.
Yeah,
sure.
Totally.
That sounds fun. All right, so let's start the game. So it'll generate me a random scenario. And Zero AD, again, free. So it's just available in the repo. So I was like, well, let's go grab this. I'm sure this won't play very well.
Right.
And here it is, over mirrored video. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm playing, look, I can using 2 fingers, I can roll around the environment on the trackpad
crazy.
using the multi-touch, and then I can zoom in by, again, I'm using multi-touch gestures to zoom in and zoom out to rotate the camera around.
And the fact that it's this great with HDMI out on top of it. So, I mean, it's being taxed and it's still producing this. It's really impressive for something like this. Really awesome. I still remain blown away. I keep looking for something to nitpick.
I cannot believe these are integrated graphics.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, wait, what? It doesn't feel like it could be.
And when I look at this and I think when these Intel graphics, the Iris is this good.
Yeah.
Give
it another 2 generations.
Yeah, what's the next generation or 2 we're going to look like? And what's that going to mean for the Steam box?
Right.
Because when you include these graphics just come on the Intel chip, right? So when you include graphics like this just as part of the system chip, that's going to make Steam boxes $100, $200.
Oh, yeah. It makes it very obtainable. It's, just, right off the shelf, no problem. You don't have to really think about it. Just go and do it.
So there's 0 AD and there's the water render there.
I mean, the water render's just... That by itself is actually quite good.
So maybe we can send this person over here to go get us some... Can I... Yeah, go over here, Elephant. Thank you. Yeah, and maybe these people can go play in the water. Go play in the water, people. So there's 0 AD. And here was kind of when I was taking a look at this, I thought, okay, well, if I was going to get an Ultrabook,
right,
I would primarily be getting it for portability. Mm-hmm. I would be getting it to do my work, to do things like SSH, to do things like docs, right? I probably wouldn't be buying it necessarily to play video games.
No, it would be a secondary thing at that point, sure.
And I think this, if gaming is a secondary thing to you, if gaming isn't a primary function for your computer, totally that
would be me. This is about my speed because I'm a casual person.
Right. For me, I could not buy this laptop and not also have a computer with higher-end graphics, but I might make that investment in a desktop instead, where I get a little more bang for my buck anyways. So should we try trying again?
Yeah, let's give it a whirl.
See if sometimes things just like to Unity just likes to put that menu bar up there and then your frame rate drops down. Yeah. So how would you say the battery life has been on?
The battery life on both of these. First of all, being it's Ubuntu, you can do laptop mode tools if you want to extend the battery life. But without that, I found it to be about 4 hours. With laptop mode tools installed, casual usage, I've extended it to about 5.5. Okay. And I did not see any performance hits.
That same on both of them?
Exactly. And of course, if you're concerned about performance, just connect it to AC power. You're going to get your PowerTop's going to show you all your goodies where you want it. But even still, it will work great either way. So yeah, between 4 to 5.5, depending on what you're doing, and that would be with both units themselves. So.
All right, so here we go.
Oh my!
So now Trine's working a little better now that we don't have that Unity bar up there.
Nice.
And
this is on a freaking Ultrabook. It's like
this is on an Ultrabook with the freaking video mirrored out at 1080p.
I know. It's like what the hell?
I know, and
that's just wrong.
Absolutely, and completely, and totally playable. And this is one of my favorite games on Linux. So this would be like if I was buying this machine, this is what I would be playing it with. And
you're all doing an appointment or whatever, waiting for somebody to come out or whatever, and you're all rocking this in your lap, Totally.
Oh, absolutely. And see,
you'd be happy.
This game, if you haven't played Trine 2, I'm planning to give some away soon. So if you're too hard up to buy it, even though it's totally worth it full price, I will be giving some Trine 2 away soon.
Nice.
So there's Trine. The reason why we're only doing it on one laptop is because they both have the same video card.
Right. And so you're literally just going to get it on a bigger screen with the other one. So it's the same animal.
Same resolution. Yeah. Same HDMI out on that.
Yeah.
The one thing that the Kudu adds that the UltraPro doesn't have is the Kudu adds eSATA.
Has eSATA and has that nice 10 key on the keyboard.
And funny enough people remember in Linux Unplugged we said, what do you need to have like a really good machine? A lot of people said VGA. For the projectors,
which is
that has it right
this
there.
This has VGA and HDMI.
So here's how I see these two shaking out. This is an ultra portable machine that has a new class of performance. Kind of an unbelievable new class of performance, to tell you the truth. I did not expect the graphics to work that well. This is essentially everything you get with this machine in a larger package with a larger keyboard and a few like other features like VGA and things like that. So here it is without any wires hooked up to it for those of you watching the video version. Just absolutely. And look here, I was just playing Trine and 0AD, zero fan noise.
Exactly.
Look at that. Zero fan noise. I mean, that is awesome. The other nice thing that not all Ultrabooks of this size have is this has Ethernet. It's a little funky door where the little door opens. But that's
I'm not a fan of it, but I don't think it's not going to hinder you. Even if it does become a problem in the future, you can still plug in fine. Yeah. I'm not sure what the psychology was for having that, but it's there.
I actually think, if you can believe it, the Ethernet port is too big, and this is too thin. This is thinner than the size of an Ethernet port.
So it's trying to accommodate for it, right?
Yeah, it does.
Right.
So see, when this door opens up, it makes it more of a standard size Ethernet port.
Oh, that could be why it has
how
the
thin
door.
this is.
And I know why they have the door. It's to keep the Ethernet cord in. Duh.
And then it also has DisplayPort out as well.
Because sometimes, like my Ethernet cords, I tend to break the little thing off them. So if it's not going to stay, that door is going to keep it in place, so that while you're moving it around, you're not having problems. Okay, I can see that. Sure.
The rub on this one.
Okay.
This is certainly one of those machines where Chris's weak self-control is certainly an issue. I don't necessarily need a laptop. However, I am drawn to really good hardware, and this feels so good, and the size of it is so good, and this keyboard, I could definitely appreciate why some reviewers were very frustrated with the keyboard, because this machine is so nice. To have issues with the keyboard would kind of be a deal breaker. Now that they've replaced this keyboard, I'm very hard pressed to say something bad about it.
Right, with the refreshed keyboard. I mean, really, the only thing I wasn't a fan of is the touchpad is something to consider.
Oh, it's a single button.
It's a single button. So if you're not a single button touchpad kind of fella or gal, it can be a little frustrating when you're trying to do a right click and you may have a little bit of a jump. So that's something that you can minimize.
Here, and I'll also demonstrate.
Yeah.
So here is. So the way it works is, let me get the mouse on there, and then I'll get my 2 fingers, and then it's a 2-finger scroll for. You see how you just kind of. Caress the touchpad to do the scrolling.
So I found
there's even inertia scrolling. So it even does a little inertia scrolling.
Yeah, I found right clicking to be a little, and both laptops share the touchpad. The right clicking's a little tricky, but if you make your adjustments in the mouse settings, it's actually quite usable. It's not a problem. But that would be the only downside I would see to either of them.
And the other thing I would also recommend is turn off the touch. You have that setting where the touchpad turns off while you type.
That's a must do on. I don't care who you are, and it's quick enough. It doesn't interfere with your performance at all. You won't have problems.
I played a little bit of the games with the touchpad, then I switched to an external mouse just for the touchpad or just to play, and I've kind of kept with it.
That's a no-brainer. Yeah.
I feel like because this touchpad's actually bigger than the Bonobo touchpad,
right?
I think the Bonobo also you see as a single button.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've gotten used to all of that. Like the right click becomes a 2-finger click.
And see, the laptop I have is so old that it's still using the old tool, and so this for me was very different.
You eventually pick up, you get used to it. I would say this touchpad is. It feels a generation newer than the Bonobo's touchpad.
Oh, it feels just your fingers just glide.
Couple of other notes: hardware level keys. So on the UltraPro here, you've got your screen brightness. Of course, you've got your LCD external. You've got go to sleep now. You've got your volume playback. You've also can turn on and off your wireless. Now, what's cool is one of the changes that System76 makes on their rigs is. These are hardware-based.
Yes.
So in my experience, and I haven't tried it on this particular laptop, but later on, if you wanted to take Ubuntu off and put something like Arch or OpenSUSE or Fedora,
it should work, because it's hardware-based. Yeah.
That's definitely been the case on my past System76 laptop.
And there's important things like being able to turn on and off your camera, the web camera itself.
There's a hardware button.
Yeah.
And what's great about that is you can turn off the camera at a hardware level. The OS knows there's a device there, but nothing can access it.
That's right.
So like we experimented with turning cheese on, and it just doesn't get a picture.
Yeah.
So there is a hardware disable for the webcam, which is cool. The other thing that's nice about and by the way, physical hardware Ubuntu Smart the super key.
Oh yeah, this is a key. It's not a sticker.
Right.
This is a key.
But the other thing that's kind of nice about the keyboard on the Kudu versus the UltraPro is the Kudu has backlights.
Yes, it does.
And that again is a hardware function. You can turn them. Yeah, there you go. So there you just turned yours on. So Matt there has backlit. It can't, of course, our studio lights are so bright.
See it, but
there you can kind of see it.
You can kind of see it.
Yep, and that's super nice. Now on that one, do you know? Can you let me see? Can you alternate the colors on that one like you can on the Bonobo?
I don't know for sure. I haven't explored it, but I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
But
and that's not really. That's kind of just a nice to have feature.
Right?
But also on this one, the keys have a slight pocket to them. It's really interesting. Like the fingers, your fingers kind of fit in them.
They do.
And then lastly, on the Kudu, the one thing I like is it kind of has this Enterprise D design swoop to the side of it, where it's kind of nice and it's kind of
very lap friendly.
Yeah, it's you see how it's got like this edge here that just kind of trails
kind
up,
of bevels a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite nice. So that's that one. If external storage is important to you, if you want a really big screen
I would
1080p
totally rock this.
And a 10
I totally would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally rock that. I also love the fact that, talking about hardware buttons, you're able to turn the mouse off without having to depend on some software headache.
And you fired up
touchpad.
NextUiz on there.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, NextUiz isn't the most graphically demanding game,
But just bam, done.
it's incredible. So all of these have SSDs, so everything fires up instantaneously. We could try. I have no idea if this will work, Matt, but why don't you quit NextUiz and we'll plug in the HDMI hookup and see if it works. It works so well on the UltraPro, it might just work fine on the Kudu, but we probably shouldn't be in the game. Do it. Boop. I know, it's a little funky. There you go. Get down there. Yep, and then smack that bad boy. And here, you can, you want to
there we go.
grab this too, you can.
Okay.
And you plug that in and I'll plug this in. All right, so here we go, guys. Live demo on air. Will the HDMI out hookup work? Survey says, hell, wait, that is it, isn't it? Right? That's you, right? Yeah. Is it working already? That is so awesome.
That was us. That was literally us going to HDMI that quickly.
That is because I'll tell you guys, on some Linux rigs, this is one of the things I come out here an hour before the show to make work. Like, this is a big deal that it works that easy. Oh no, it's not. You know what? It didn't update. It didn't update.
Oh, it didn't update?
I don't know if that's your machine or if that's the Wirecast machine's problem.
It's probably the Wirecast.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Okay.
But the game looks awesome. Yeah. I
Yeah.
can't pick it up. I can't get it. Look at that S though. Look at that. So
Oh my gosh.
You maybe start it and pick it up and show it to him, just because I want them to see how damn good the NextUiz looks.
Here, let me grab that other mouse from you. There's one that's still plugged in here.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Try it out, Matt. See what you
All
get. When I saw that, I was like, "Is this really happening on?" I think this has been my most happiest surprise is how well the Intel has performed. All right, so now you got to show it to him. I know it's going to be hard.
Oh, okay.
You got to pick it up and show it to him somehow.
Okay. To unplug the HDMI here.
No, try it. I'll try getting the HDMI
Okay.
working while you show it to him. If that happens, we'll see. Yeah, can it work, Matt? Can you get it? I know it's kind of crazy with all the wires. No, can you get it?
Let's see. Well, we got a big window in front of the way too.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
I can jump them. I kind of peek out the sides here.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of hard to see, but you get it. You get an idea. It totally performs just fine. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Cool.
That's kind of interesting shot there. All right. Well, I'll take the HDMI signal.
Yep. Okay.
Since we didn't get that. I wish Wirecast was a little better at that kind of thing, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
I think NextUiz is probably maybe the most graphically considerate version of all of them, but walking away from this, I definitely got the impression that okay, you know what, I could switch to this as a gaming rig. I don't know if I would make it my main gaming machine, but I think I could definitely casually game with it.
Totally.
So, all right, thank you. Well, so there you have it. So there's two laptops, the UltraPro and the Kudu Professional. We're going to keep playing with these guys, so if you have any questions, things you want us to try out, just email us, linuxactionshow@jupiterbroadcasting.com. We'll probably do a follow-up on Linux Unplugged, and then next week, we'll take a look at the Leopard Extreme, their desktop machine, their rig that... it was totally set to this laptop's screen.
There we go.
Because it's working just fine over here.
Interesting.
The Leopard Extreme is their rig that I think is sort of on par with the Mac Pro. It's like designed for content creators and developers and folks who just want the ultimate performance. So we're going to be punishing the hell. We wanted to take extra time to really kick the tires on the Leopard Extreme. So next week we'll be looking at what could be one of the nicest desktops for Linux out there. We'll try to answer that question.
Oh, easily. Yeah. Easily.
If you were at all on the fence over the UltraPro, don't be at all. There is nothing about this that will disappoint you. The gaming is totally usable. The Kudu is awesome, and if you are in a work environment, you need the VGA port, you want the larger screen and a little bit more real estate on your keyboard, that's a really great option too. I'm going to have, you know what, I think we're just going to keep playing with these for a while.
I know, right? Just get up in there.
System76, if you guys want these back, you're going to have to fly out to Seattle. Just saying.
Arm wrestle. We'll arm wrestle for them.
We'll do it live on the air, though. We'll make it like a live, and then whoever wins the arm wrestling competition takes the laptop.
We'll go over the top. I'll turn my hat around. We'll just Sylvester Stallone it.
Yeah, totally. All right, Matt. That's the Linux Action Show's look at System76's 2 new laptops. And that brings us to the end of this week's broadcast. But, Matt, before we get out of here, I want to thank our segment sponsor, System76, that one. You know what? System76 creates these machines. They make a lot of great machines. over at System76.com. Machines born to run Ubuntu, and these are folks who think deeply about the Linux ecosystem. They participate in it. They help deploy and encourage Linux on desktops and servers. They work with schools, businesses, and individuals. And when you buy something from System76, not only are you getting good hardware that runs Linux flawlessly, but you are supporting somebody who's active in the Linux ecosystem. And there's nothing more powerful than voting with your wallet. Go over to System76.com and get yourself something nice. Just as a couple of follow-up items.
Yes.
So I was being totally dumb during our review. Why don't you fire up NextUIS so we can show folks?
Right?
I don't know what I was thinking. It was actually working. What we were seeing, though, was your second desktop.
Exactly. Oh.
Because it wasn't mirrored. I didn't do mirrored displays. We had to just go in there and hit mirrored displays.
Okay, so we're good to go here. We just need
we're
to
fine,
toggle
yeah.
over then.
And by the way, the UltraPro out of the two is probably the one I'd buy just because I've been on the large end for so long that I would swing the other way. My UltraPro as configured would be about $1,500. It's got the Core i7 2 gigahertz processor. I upped it to 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I put a 480 gigabyte SSD, and they have a wide range of drives. And that was the 480 gigabyte SSD was my biggest cost. I increased the price by $395, obviously, because it's the 480 gigabyte SSD.
Absolutely.
But so shipped to me, it would be $1,500. And the other question that we had in the live chat during the break was, are the screens matte? Yes, both screens are matte. So is my Bonobo.
And they look great.
So here's NextUIS running on this Iris Pro 5200 with HDMI 1080p mirroring. And this is Matt here shooting away. Are you feeling exhilarated, Matt?
Oh, I'm liking this.
Daddy likes. Daddy likes.
Yeah, it looks... I mean, again, like NextUIS isn't the most graphically challenging, but my point here is at this point in time right now, there's almost really no game on Linux that these Iris Pros can't handle. It might not look their absolute best, although this NextUIS is looking great.
I mean, I'm just running. I'm just going, man.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the performance is really quite outstanding. Oh, the Kudu's an HD 4600, really?
Oh, is it? Okay.
Okay. Thank you, the random person.
Yeah.
Because it's... I mean, this is my big quest, is could I get an Intel graphics? The benefits of the Intel graphics, for me, are pretty clear. Neither one of these machines fans are going crazy, so the heat savings is huge, and the power savings is huge, and the cost savings is big. I don't know if it's huge, because for me, I'm willing to pay for the additional dedicated GPU.
Totally.
But... having tried it, I tell you, I never would have tried it unless they shipped them to us.
You never would have thought about it. And I think that's why it's so important for folks to see this. It's great.
This is the biggest takeaway I'm having from this review is the Intel graphics have come so far. It's blown my mind. So anyways, there's that. Oh, I should do some emails. We're both Matt and I this whole episode have been very distracted by the toys.
Huh? What?
Nice. All right, so
Let's go shoot some emails.
We did get some emails. One of them came in from actually all of them this week. We got so much hardware here. It's kind of unbelievable. It's kind of awesome. It's a great problem to have. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Look at this thing. Look at this. Are you guys seeing this? This is unbelievably thin for you audio listeners. I'm fapping over the over here.
There is a box of Kleenex, literally.
Here, Matt. Why don't you take that?
Okay.
I'm going to bring back the Bonobo so I can read some emails. Yeah, I mean. I don't know. It's the end of the year. It's tax season.
The justification begins.
I'm just thinking, I could pay that to Uncle Sam, or I could do a little business write-off, and I could, you know what I'm saying, Matt, right? You know what I'm saying? All right. Well, so let's do another, since it worked so well for us last time on the show, let's do another live HDMI swap.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll plug in the HDMI here. Live on the show, Matt. Woo! This is, by the way, this really long, thin HDMI cable, mono price.
Huh?
Yeah, I mean, look, this was running all the way to the other side of the garage, right?
Wow.
I mean, I get some serious distance on that bad
this
mamma
isn't
jamma.
too bad for a desktop replacement. It's pretty reasonable.
Right.
So not too shabby.
That to me right there is.
I would rock this.
Yeah, that is totally desktop replacement material. The reason why I don't necessarily think the Ultra Pro is desktop replacement material is
your desktop needs are very specific too. You need the big.
For me,
honkers hanging off the back.
I mean, a Core i7 2 gigahertz. See, did it work? Did it work? It did work.
It did work.
A Core i7 2 gigahertz is pretty much almost there. If I wasn't encoding video all the time,
right? So you need a workhorse machine, and this is a nice all-in-one workhorse machine for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
So we're representing 3 other laptops.
Yeah, this Bonobo. I mean, it really is quite solid for being a year later. Okay. Yes. All right, so we got two we're going to start with that are kind of along the same vein, and then the third is about the window tiling manager challenge.
Oh, boy.
So here's one that comes in from Smurf. He says, So my girlfriend is going off to college next year, and she decided to buy a new laptop. I'm trying to get her to go the way of the Penguin. A friend of hers is telling her to stick with Windows. I showed her KDE, and it's nice and how nice it is to use, but she's on the fence. She honestly doesn't know the difference between them. And when it comes to fixing stuff, she's more hold it out the window until it works type of troubleshooter. So what are some good points I can use to try to convince her to switch? She uses whatever she wants, but I think Linux would be good for her.
Well, my personal experience in the space is that first and foremost, it's what applications they're using. If they spend most of their time in browsers and things of that sort, then the simple stability of not having malware issues or having other hardware, having all those little miscellaneous issues that you have in Windows is a strong selling point.
That's a good point.
So looks and things like that. A lot of times with someone that's not super geeky, you're not going to win so many arguments with that. But trouble-free experience, you might win there.
Yeah, you're not going to win the file system argument.
No.
You're not going to win the kernel argument.
They don't care.
They don't. You're not going to win the superior package management argument.
So you got to look at what applications they're running, and can you emulate that in a Linux experience? If you can, you're probably okay.
Yep. And I think if you said so, the malware angle, the interesting one on that is like, well, look, if you're going to be working at college and you're going to be working in groups and you guys might be sharing thumb drives, you're not going to have to worry about the spreading of viruses.
Exactly.
Okay. So to me, I think your harder sale would be is if she wanted a Mac.
That's just it. And usually when someone wants a Mac, it's not just the Mac experience. It's also iPhoto, perhaps Photoshop, just those types of things. They're able to do things a certain way. Yeah. That workflow can be tough.
So I would say the other thing you have to remember, and this is going to go to both our guys that we're going to recommend to, you become the sole source of tech support when they have problems. And so get yourself Splashtop or TeamViewer just had a new release that looks a lot better. Get TeamViewer loaded on there. Even if you're going to be in the same school as her, if you're even on the same floor as her, or if you're across the country from her, you will become the tech support via text, email, and phone, and you need to be able to solve problems. And that would very likely be the same case on Windows, but in the Windows case, there's probably somebody else there on campus that's going to be able to help her. That absolutely could be true with Linux, but it just might not be as common.
And the nice thing about both Splashtop and with the TeamViewer as well is they both have Android applications available that you don't have to be in front of your computer to provide tech support. You can do it there. Right
when you're out banging your other girlfriend, since your girl's off at school, you can still support your other girl, and it's
you can have her hold your phone for you while you. Okay. Yeah.
Oh. All right, next email, or actually thread on the subreddit, comes from Get Poked, ironically. He says,
wow. Well, that happened. Okay.
Hey, everyone. Help a brother out. My girlfriend, who is an avid video gamer, has pared her gaming down to really 3 things. Team Fortress 2, Starbound, which just came out for Linux, and Minecraft. Sounds like a job for Linux, eh? That's what I said. So she's up for trying out Linux as her daily driver. I was thinking of just giving her the run of my desktop running Arch, but what makes for a gentler slide into Linux these days? Ubuntu, Kubuntu? I showed her Mint, and she really didn't like the UI.
Boy, I think it's going to be the Pepsi challenge all over again. You really need to park them in front of a computer and try different desktop environments. Not so much distros, but more the desktop environments, making sure that it's one that really appeals to them. Maybe they turn out to be a Unity person. You just never know.
For you guys watching the video version at home, I've got my KDE desktop. Does this look like any KDE desktop you've ever seen?
I mean, that's the customization power right there.
Yeah, it really is. In fact, I could wait for it. Where is it? Nope, not that one. I had a hotkeyed earlier, Matt. But I had like a different mode set up too that was a little more Windows user friendly. I was going to show off. And so what I've gone with is a little dock style here, right? I've got a menu up top. And the great thing about KDE is you really can kind of dial it into what they want. So that's kind of worth it in itself. I wouldn't worry too much about what operating system it runs.
Right. It's about experiences with non-tech people, definitely. Yeah. And that's the thing we lose sight of is that, well, this operating system's got this and that operating system's got that, and the distros and whatnot. People don't care. They're about accomplishing things on their computers and doing tasks. Address those tasks, you'll have success.
Yep. Very good point. And it's getting easier and easier. It is getting easier and easier with different cloud services out there and the whatnot. So you'll be able to get her something.
You betcha.
And let us know how it goes.
Absolutely, yeah. And remember, when in doubt, if you're finding there's like some legacy experience that you're not finding a Linux app for, check out the Chrome store. You might find something that's a Chrome extension that might solve the. Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty blown away lately. So never know.
One of the things that came up on the last Linux Unplugged was that Matt and Chris should take the Tiling Window Manager Challenge. And me, I love myself a highly graphical desktop with all of the fancy whistles and widgets and all of that kind of stuff. Ones that I got spinning cubes and
I like spinning cubes,
wobbly windows. But I was thinking, all right, I've heard this a lot. So Danger Salad wrote and he says, I was going to submit an email to the show, So I'll just try to enumerate my idea here, which
Okay.
is probably good because I wouldn't have seen it otherwise.
Yeah.
To me, it should really be the build your own desktop DE challenge. Since part of using a standalone window manager as proposed to a full desktop like KDE or GNOME is having to pull all the pieces you want into place. I think Chris and Matt should each pick a tiling window manager and each build themselves a desktop on top of that and share their roadblocks they found, choices they made, and things like that. Another thing to possibly do would be for them to have their custom desktop config files in a GitHub repo so the community could see what their progress was like and send suggestions and pull requests and patches. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's probably going to go a little farther than we'll do. But I definitely like the idea of customizing our own desktop because that's something I can see myself enjoying doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that I'm down with. We've already got 42 comments on here, so if you guys want to get in there and kind of discuss this is something Matt and I are probably going to do. I don't know if we'll do it before Christmas, but we'll definitely do it within the next few weeks.
Post Christmas.
Yeah.
We've got so much stuff.
We got content out the wazoo planned, so it's kind of hard, but.
Maybe a great way to launch the new year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe we start the new year off with a tiling window manager challenge. So we'll have a link to this in the feedback section of the show notes, and you go over to the subreddit. You can join in that conversation. We'll also be picking that conversation up with our Mumble chat room on Linux Unplugged, which is live on Tuesdays. Go over to jblive.tv. Actually, go to jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. I want to extend an offer to any of you opinion makers, anybody that has some deep thoughts on Linux and open source software. Join our Mumble room during that show. And we have an open roundtable discussion at different times during the show. You can come in and share your thoughts on that kind of stuff. Plus, very lively pre and post shows.
Oh my goodness.
Where we just hang out with the group and just talk about anything.
Oh, and it gets wild. It's a lot of fun,
including tiling window managers and barbecue.
Absolutely, and usually the two mix together.
Surprisingly,
barbecue sauce on your tiling.
Well, Matt, where do you want to point people to throughout the week so they can find out what you're doing?
I think right now, just Linux Unplugged is the best place to see what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. We just we had a great surprise stop-by visit by Alan from TechSnap and VSD Now last week on Linux Unplugged, and we called it Swap It Outta Here, where we debated. There's a couple of things that always float around the Linux community, and one of them is, do you really need swap space?
Right.
Do you really need swap space?
And what's interesting is no one's gray on this.
Right.
It's very much that you definitely do, and here's why.
Opinions
and you definitely don't.
Yeah.
And in truth, it really depends on use case.
Yeah, opinions were very strong
That's the
on
truth.
this. So that's a good episode if you haven't seen episode 17 of Linux Unplugged. You can find links to everything we talked about in this week's episode in the show notes. And don't forget, you can watch us live on a Sunday over at jblive.tv. We start at 10 a.m. Pacific, and we freeze our balls off until about 12:30 or so. So if you join us live, you get a much longer show where we chat with you guys. Today, the pre-show was like an hour long while we were playing around with the laptops and stuff. This is always a good time to get a little extra show over at jblive.tv. But if not, we love it when you download the show on demand. And if you want to vote anywhere you watch this, like in the iTunes store, I know, but if you're one of them,
that's okay.
we need your help because there's not a lot of you out there.
Right.
Also, Stitcher now.
Oh, yeah?
Stitcher.
So
if you're a Stitcher user, go give us some love in there so that way other people find the shows in Stitcher.
Good stuff.
All right, Matt, well, that just about wraps us up for this week's episode of the Linux Action Show. We'll see you right back here next week.
Yes. Approve. I approve.
Oh, man, that's good.
That wasn't my approve. Yeah, I'll tell you.
That's good.
I was going to check out our communicator.
Hey, Seven. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's satisfying.
Yeah, I'd play the hell out of it. I would definitely play this. Ooh, yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, it just feels good mowing those guys down with that. That's a satisfying sensation. Yeah, I would. If they took Bitcoin, I would buy this today. Probably. I would probably buy this after the show.
Man, it looks like pee. Actually, kind of does.
What?
Your beverage.
Yeah, well, that's if your pee's that dark, you need to drink more water.
If your pee's that dark, it may be hospital time. Actually. So yeah.
I am all out of sorts. Like, it is like literally like the most beautiful woman that I've seen in years has walked into the room, and I totally am like, I just like don't know what to do.
Oh, it's like when like that time I had that Google Plus conversation with Jerry Ryan, and I'm just like,
Hi, Seven. Hi, you're 7 of 9. I like
much fapping was had afterward. Yes.